S.O.S. Veteran Entrepreneur Spotlight. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S. Lifeline. The Veteran Entrepreneurial Spotlight is proud to be affiliated with Neil Haley Show and sponsored by Spearpoint Solutions. Spearpoint Solutions is a one-stop shop for leading-edge products, services, and training for multiple vendors. From AI training to corporate gifts and much more, they have everything you need to help your organization thrive in the modern economy. You can check out all the valuable offerings at spearpointonline.com, and remember to use the code VETSOS on anything you purchase there so you can help us continue our mission of improving the lives of those who have served. Today we're sitting down with Cole Samaroo, founder and CEO of Senior Tech Connect, whose mission is to empower older adults to access today's digital world. Cole is a Marine Corps veteran, VA volunteer, and proud grandson. After his grandfather passed away from Parkinson's disease in 2022, and seeing the burden of technology shift onto his grandmother's shoulders, Cole set out on a mission to bridge the digital divide for older adults. Senior Tech Connect empowers seniors and veterans through digital literacy and cybersecurity awareness training, improving their overall quality of life. That is a fantastic mission. Cole, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. It's so great to meet with you, and thanks for having me, Sean.
Oh, so glad to have you on here, and definitely looking forward to jumping into what your company does and the impact that it's having. But before we do that, let's go ahead and start with your transition. How'd your transition out of the military go?
Absolutely. I would say that, as you might be able to tell, I did a quick tour from 2019 to 2023. So I only served for 4 years. Um, I was stationed out in Camp Pendleton out in 2019 and didn't really move much from there. Did a quick deployment to Southeast Asia for 7 months on the USS Makin Island, which was quite fantastic. um, but my transition, yeah, I always really knew that I wanted to serve in the military and get some really good experience, and then look at what else is out there. So I was ready coming back from deployment to get on out and go back to school. So I was while I was active duty, I started using, I started taking courses online at nighttime to prepare myself for that when I got out. I wanted to continue studying and go back for my MBA. So in 2023, when I got out, was already enrolled in using the GI Bill and all those great benefits to continue studying. And from there, it just kind of quickly transitioned into this business and all of that. But I feel grateful that I had a fantastic network and a lot of great mentors, a lot of great friends who are helping me along the way. And some of my work with the VAs is trying to continue to pass that along to other veterans that might be transitioning, or even ones that are Vietnam or Desert Storm, Desert Shield veterans that are still having trouble. And that I'll get that into that in a little bit.
Okay. Um, no, that's fantastic, and it sounds like you went into the whole military, experience with a plan, an idea. You wanted to, get the training, serve your country a little bit, and then you always had plans to move on and do other things. And it's just great that you're still continuing to give back to the community as well. So let's talk about your entrepreneurship. What led you to really want to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to create something to make a change in the world. And obviously, spending time in the military, you learn the hard way what it's like to, work in a very rigid hierarchical structure. And but that said, I did not think that I was going to jump into entrepreneurship this quickly, especially coming out of the military. But what really brought me to Senior Tech Connect was, like you had mentioned in the beginning, I lost my grandfather to Parkinson's in 2022, and his journey down was not super great. And my grandmother's journey in being his caregiver was very difficult. And I remember, very vividly after the funeral talking to my grandma, and she was still concerned about, you know, all these cars these days have these safety features that I don't know how to use, and I feel less safe than, driving a stick from, the 60s or 70s. And everything that she really managed when it came to came to my grandfather's care, the struggles really centered around technology. So that's what really drove me as I was studying and getting out to find a way to bridge, the digital divide and find a way to support seniors. Um, so uh, started doing some research and came across a News 7 Miami article that featured a young high school kid named Nick and his mother who had volunteered at a bunch of senior centers out in South Florida. Well, I reached out to them, and long story short, his mom Angie is my co-founder, and
Oh,
we just surpassed 11,000 older adults taught nationwide.
that's fantastic. And love the fact that you took action on a story that you read. You already had the drive, right? Because it was a personal thing for you. With your grandparents, and and seeing that story, and someone who was trying to make an impact on the other side of the country, and you reached out, and that's just fantastic. Love hearing that. Um, okay, so what's been the best and worst part of being an entrepreneur so far?
Wow. I could spend hours talking about this, but I would say the best part is when you see the impact that you're making. Most entrepreneurs, especially military entrepreneurs, are trying to make a true difference. And it is nice that we are in a space where we're we're a social impact company. We're not just here to make money. We're here to really make a change in the way that older adults engage with technology and helping them connect in the way that everyone else in the world is connecting currently and the way that technology is going. So that is really amazing. We see about 3 to 400 older adults every week, and we hear the feedback from them. We hear their stories. We hear the struggles that they're dealing with and how grateful they are to have Senior Tech Connect in their lives. The lows or the toughest parts about being an entrepreneur are certainly the patience that it takes to get a business off the ground. We have almost religiously come into this routine of the up and the patience, the waiting, then the up, and success kind of goes like that. It's a very steady, up and then flat, up and then flat. And that takes a level of patience that is extreme. Most people don't have that level of patience, but I will say that veterans and especially veteran entrepreneurs have that grit. They have the resilience to work day in, day out for that mission. And I do think um, it's reassuring that when you focus on a mission so deeply and so firmly that it will come. It just takes some time.
Never knew that hurry up and wait would train you for being an entrepreneur. Yeah,
Believe it or not,
yeah.
that is definitely the case.
There you go. All right, so entrepreneurial programs. Have you participated in anything to help you learn how to run a business, grow a business, what have you, and whether it's veteran or non-veteran specific programs?
Absolutely. And I'm glad that this is a question you asked because for veterans or for military affiliated entrepreneurs, these resources, they're out there. They're very much out there. So first off, we've had a mentorship relationship with the Small Business Association, and specifically their small business development centers. Those are not necessarily for veterans, but they lead veteran-owned small businesses into the path of getting certified as a veteran-owned business and getting access to potentially government contracts, state and local, and if you're a service-disabled veteran, potentially even set-asides. So that is extremely important. I've spent you know basically the last year and a half with the same mentor at the SBA, and he continues to be our advisor, like our first advisor on the team. Additionally, hiring our heroes in SkillBridge are huge. I think that a lot of young early entrepreneurs struggle with how do I bring on someone onto my team that can help me focus on on the business while maybe someone else focuses in the business, right? And entrepreneurs always hear that. You always got to be, looking at the next step, the strategy, the big picture. And so hiring our heroes and SkillBridge have been great ways that we can bring on, you know, either military veterans or military spouses that are come from the same cloth. They understand what it's like to be flexible, to push hard for a unified mission. And the Hiring Our Heroes program, they'll pay for them for those first 11 weeks. And then that gives you time to build that fit, to find the fit. And then if it's a fit, you can take them on, full time or on your own. And we've done that twice. It's worked brilliantly, and it's allowed us to find, what is that true piece or that true gap that we need to fill in our business to keep growing. Um, and then SkillBridge is kind of the same depending on the time frame for that transitioning service member. It gives them, I think it's 3 to 6 months that it gives them to be a fellow on your team as they're transitioning. And the military is still paying their salary. It's as if they're still in the ranks, but instead they're working for you. The last thing is ACP, American Corporate Ventures, a great veteran community. They have the ACP Village where veterans can talk and chat online, gain mentorship. I am tied up with an ACP mentor as well, and I was so surprised that they were able to find someone who is also a founder, CEO of a pretty big digital health company, and he wants to give back. And again, he's been my mentor for about the last 8 months, and I've found so much value in talking strategy with him. So many resources out there. I'm sure there are tons more. Even things like this podcast are fantastic. So very thankful to be a veteran in today's day and age.
You listed some great ones, and some that people haven't listed before on the show. And ACP is phenomenal. I had a mentor from ACP coming out of the military during transition. I still talk to them pretty much every month. And so it's a fantastic program, and their ability to match people is ridiculous.
Yep.
All right, so tell us about Senior Tech Connect. What is it that you're doing? What services are you providing? How can people find you? Let us know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I talked about where we were born, right, originally in South Florida and, Southern California as well. But we've grown to the point where we do tons of in-person classes, at least in those two regions, from Miami all the way up to West Palm, as well as down in San Diego County and the rest of Southern California. But we've grown to the point where we have a lot of virtual webinars online to help seniors that are able to get onto the internet and that have the abilities to hop on, a Zoom or a different type of virtual call to learn about tech education, to learn about their smartphones. Right now, the most popular subject for us to teach is cybersecurity, because the scam industry is, especially among seniors, is responsible for, the estimates are saying, hundreds of billions of dollars of losses every year. So we're really looking to focus on that, and we're really obsessed with cybersecurity right now. And then, teaching seniors about AI. What is AI? What are the pros and cons of using it? What are some implementation methods? So those are just some of the few topics that we train on virtually. And then you'll probably see us most in partnerships with other organizations. Our niche is really in healthcare. So we've had the trust and confidence of Humana over the past year and a half, where we are actually developing their nationwide patient education program to help older adults on Medicare Advantage access telehealth and online portals and navigate those things. So those are some of the partnerships. We're also leading some initiatives with AARP, such as their Scam Jam tour, some community action programs. So you might find us in the community in that way. But as always, people can find us on really any social media: LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. But otherwise, our website is srtechconnect.com, and that has all of our upcoming events on there, live on ground or virtually. We also created an AI tech coach, which is basically, text, SMS, or WhatsApp enabled, where people can just text, our coach, right? And she will come up with the answer to your tech questions, to any cybersecurity concerns that you have, or anything related to your devices. So we found that it's super helpful for our instructors for questions that they get that they don't know how to answer. Like, I have a jitterbug phone. How do I increase the brightness on it? And our instructors don't know every single version of phone. So typing in, to our AI tech coach, that's really why we built it. And we've got a YouTube channel of little telenovelas or soap operas that people can engage with online as well.
Well, that's fantastic, and love hearing that. I mean, just to me, a huge need, and something that definitely can help our community. So happy that you're getting into that. Um, Cole, we want to thank you for joining us today on Vet SOS, sharing your story, telling us about your journey and how you've gotten to where you are. And on behalf of the entire Vet SOS family, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. You can find Vet SOS podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, and all social media platforms. And make sure you subscribe and follow Vet SOS so you don't miss anything that we're putting out. And as always, remember, don't drown to see a transition. Grab the Vet SOS Lifeline.